Obesity levels are reaching alarming levels in England and require urgent action by the government, according to a powerful committee of MPs. The number of people who are seriously overweight has soared in the last 20 years. In 1980, only 7% of people were obese, but that's nearly trebled to 20% of the population. The report warns that 25%, 1 in 4 of us, could be obese by 2005 if current trends continue. And the health problems associated with obesity are already costing the NHS £500 million each year.
You are what you eat, and Sue Sitek knows that all too well. Now acutely aware of her diet, she's come down from 25 stone to 15. Medical help was refused time and time again, and it was only after depression set in that she was offered stomach surgery.
I didn't feel like a person. I just felt like a thing. I didn't feel... I hated myself. And just didn't want to go outside the door.
With obesity comes health problems like heart disease. It's responsible for 30,000 deaths a year, and though some patients are getting help, today's report accuses the NHS of not doing enough.
There are some people who are very motivated to help people, to make a difference, and we must respond to this and appreciate that their work requires assistance, it requires education, it requires resources.
It's hard, but what motivates Steve McMillan is the impact his weight is having on his family.
I don't want my kids suffering because of my weight, where the friends are going to rip them apart. You know, it's not fair on them.
But it's youngsters lured by high-calorie snacks and not burning them off that are especially vulnerable. Each child is entitled to at least 2 hours physical training a week, but in some schools that just isn't happening. Fail to address that, warn the experts, and we could be sitting on a time bomb. Initiatives like Fruit in School will help, but what's needed is a more coordinated response. Karen Allen, BBC News.
So, can we learn anything about tackling obesity from other Western countries? It's a varied picture. The country with the best known problems is the United States, where 27% of people are now obese. But in France, rates are still below 10%. In a moment, Jane Stanley from New York, but first John Sopel on staying slim the French way.
The food on offer here looks more like a restaurant than a school canteen. It's healthy and varied for these secondary school students. This girl has a French mother and American father. The comparison between the two countries, she says, is striking.
Here in France, you never seem to see any obese people. But then when I got off the plane in America, that's pretty much all I see, just overweight people.
And their impression of Britain is little better.
French don't eat when they work, you see, and the English are like stuck in front of their TV and they eat chips all day.
French children tend to eat more salad, more vegetables, they drink fewer soft drinks and tend to snack less between meals. And so obesity is less of a problem here. But the picture is changing for the worse, and that worries dietitians.
The increase, in the prevalence of obesity in France is quite similar to the increase in obesity in every country in the world. The difference between France and the United States or France and England is that we start from a lower level.
Interestingly, every plate was being piled high with chips when we were at the school, but only 1 day a week are fries on offer. The French government introduced a national nutrition programme last year to police what children eat. But experts believe that all the time people are eating more and exercising less, then obesity levels will continue to rise. John Sopel, BBC News, Paris.
Music, so we're just going to start by punching out in the water.
Michelle Clough, outsize model and fitness instructor. She's proud of her size and sees no reason to change it.
Celebrating your body the way it is, which is actually my motto, celebrating who you are wherever you are, no matter what your size and shape. It's actually my trademark, and I think that's what it's all about.
While Michelle's students are trying to get their weight down, other Americans are not. They've paid little attention to years of warnings about obesity. Every day, 1,200 people die from weight-related illnesses.
Really pull that water.
Dr. Louis Aroni says obesity is now America's most serious health problem.
Over the past 20 years, there's been a striking increase in overweight and obesity in the United States, to the point where 61% of the adults are now overweight or obese.
But only now has a national obesity campaign been launched, and the government's asking people to lose 10 pounds as a show of patriotism.
When I come to my New York deli every lunchtime to get a sandwich, this is what I get. The portions are very large, and it's what Americans have come to expect.
But those expectations need to change. Jane Standley, BBC News, New York.